Right to my right over here, former governor of Massachusetts and now the Libertarian candidate for vice president, Bill Weld, joins us. Sir, I got to start just by asking you what are your thoughts as a intelligent, educated, and civil man on the events of the past 24 hours in presidential politics?
I'm somewhat stirred by the last 2 days because I think that Governor Johnson and I can do a service to the United States and maybe a service to the Republican Party by putting ourselves forward as a fiscally responsible and free trade promoting ticket, which neither of the other two tickets is. And that would help the country by giving voters an alternative. It might even help the Republican Party by giving Republican voters a place to go on the presidential ballot, and then they could stay and vote for the down ballot Republicans.
That was a pretty on-message answer. Good, kind of getting out the vote for the Libertarian ticket answer. I'm just asking you kind of a more human, like, have you ever seen anything like this? Like what, like just, it feels to me like, I mean, this whole campaign's had a lot of unprecedented moments and crazy stuff, but this seems like particularly dirty and kind of just like everyone feels like, that I talk to, kind of feels like they need to take a shower right now.
Well, I'm not believing what Mr. Trump says about how I didn't really do all those things I said I did, because I just don't believe it. I mean, and I've spent a lot of time in the courtroom and seen witnesses and circumstantial evidence, and there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 11, and it sounds like Donald doing it, that is. So I don't believe it. So he's staking everything on what appears to be a lie, but it's not the first time, Right. So
it's true. So you're firmly in the he's lying, he's obviously guilty camp.
Oh, I think he's obviously lying. Yeah. No, I mean, to know the guy is to know that he loves women, he loves hitting on women. So why he would deny it, I'll tell you why he's going to deny it. He's trying to make this issue the New York Times and not him. So he spent like an hour and a half talking about the New York Times. So, Joe the ragman can say, oh, this is about the New York Times. I don't like the New York Times. They're way up there in New York. So I'm going to be with Donald. So he's just trying to associate himself with the opposite of the New York Times.
Given we are in a brave new world of leaks, there are a lot of news organizations trying to figure out whether they should be reporting on purloined material, essentially things that have been somebody's broken in by in a computer, taken things out of the Clinton campaign, the DNC's personal files and the DNC files. How do you feel about that question?
That doesn't slow me down. You mean fruit of the poisonous tree? But they're not the government. The Fourth Estate is not the government. I think they can report it and say, we don't know whether this is authentic or not, and give the campaign in question a chance to deny it. But I don't see not using the stuff. It's important stuff. I mean, I think the stuff that Snowden did on NSA was important, and this WikiLeaks stuff is the Goldman Sachs speeches, I think, were WikiLeaks. They were important to have them out there, that Mrs. Clinton did.
Yeah, and what's your thinking about? I mean, what of all the things you've seen reported from inside the Clinton campaign, which of them do you think rise to the level of genuine importance?
I think not turning over the Huma Abedin emails when Huma Abedin did turn them over, but they didn't come from the Clinton side. Why not? Lawyers airbrushed them. That was an ouch. Maybe it's good to have a private and a public opinion. Maybe that's an ouch. Maybe the people who really understand what regulations would be best in the financial sector or those who work in the financial sector, those are ouches. Those are three. The first one is a substantial ouch. The second two are PR ouches. But you want to know something? Nobody's going to jail. She's not going to jail. She's not going close to jail.
Let's try Mark again. See if we can hear him.
Governor, what did the Weld Johnson ticket have planned over the course of the remaining balance between now and Election Day?
Well, in view of recent events, it does occur to us that we could be a place for Republican voters to come who just feel now that they cannot vote for Mr. Trump. So we're emphasizing that we're an experienced ticket. We were two-term Republican governors. We not only had 2 terms of experience, but we, by definition, worked across the aisle because we had Democratic states. And so we're a place where they could go. And it's not going to be a hard sell, you have to do it. It's just, hey, would you consider us? And obviously that's going to go down best in red states where there are more Republican voters. And that may be a little bit of a shift from, I had a lot of blue states on my calendar until recently, and I'm beginning to rethink that a little bit.
And tell us about your campaign activities that are pending. That's your message, but do you plan to do Mostly TV interviews, a lot of retail campaigning, rallies. How do you plan to close this out?
Rallies, retail out west, as much New York and D.C. as we can do, for maybe L.A. for national media as well. But getting out there, showing the flag in the West and to some extent in the East, and then trying to raise our name recognition so that the fact that Governor Johnson doesn't have the high negatives of the other two candidates could pay dividends. If we get his name recognition to 70, his poll position would probably go to 25 because he doesn't have 60% negatives. If we're at 25, I've said this before, but if we're at 25 points any time in the month of October, we're dangerous because we have momentum.
I'm going to ask you for a one-word answer, yes or no. If I asked you what to do about Aleppo, would you have had an answer? Yes or no?
Yeah, I would have had an answer, although now I'm so pessimistic I've almost given up. I think Putin's going to have his way because he's willing to bomb anything.
Right. A man who knows what Aleppo is, the #2 man on the Libertarian ticket, Governor Bill Weld.